Hello and welcome to TelecomTV. My name's Martin Warwick and I'm speaking with Brendon Adler, Director, Network Management Centre, Operations and Delivery. Quite a mouthful that, Brendon, for Optus of Australia. And next to him, Massimo Fatato, who is the General Manager of the OSS domain in HP. Gentlemen, good to see you. First of all, Brendon, let's start with you. Can you tell us about the HP Optus project, what it is, what its context is and so on?
Sure. The project was aimed at solving a key business problem. Optus customers in Australia would call up our customer or consumer service desk and traditionally would call up because they had a fault with their DSL service, their HFC network service, and our call centre reps really couldn't see the state of the network nor help diagnose the fault. I look after the Network Operations Centre and we would get a volume of faults dispatched to my team that we would be able to solve from a network point of view, but from a customer-centric point of view, that's not a great service. So we worked with HP to deploy a fantastic tool set that enabled the customer service rep to not only diagnose the fault, interact with the customer, increase first call resolution, but make the customer delighted at the fact that when they called up, we knew what was wrong, we knew how to solve it, and quite often we'd solve it before they'd even engage us.
Okay, now Massimo, that's one side of it. We'd heard from Optus and what the potential problem was in the context there. What did HP bring in terms of the technology that allowed this solution to take place?
Yes, absolutely. First of all, HP brought not just technology but capabilities, that is people, knowledge, and offering and products. This is the solution that we work together with the Optus is founded on an offering that is called Test and Diagnostic that allows, as Brendon was saying, a contact center person to understand what the problem at end user is and act on it rather than waiting for minutes, if not hours, to resolve the problem itself. It is founded on an engine of that brings together, again, the capability to understand what the problem is and therefore provide a solution to the customer, and is surrounded, let me say it this way, by a user interface, in this case a contact center interface that is extremely natural, extremely direct, so that the person that is sitting and receiving the call from the angry customer can act in a simple, fast way, again with the benefit of the employee itself as well as the end user. And I want to stress the point that like Brendon was saying, you not only make your Optus employees happier because they can work better, but you make also your customers. I am a customer of Telecom Italia or BT, and when I am angry because I have a problem, and I want to have a resolution, I want to have a resolution immediately, and this is was making also, I hope, your customer happier because of this solution.
This involved considerable innovation from both HP and from Optus. And there obviously would have been benefits to both sides of the equation in this. Can you tell me what they were? For example, Optus, Brendon.
Yeah, some of the innovation that was brought to bear in the project was engaging with the business in actually the UI design, rather than it being a engineering or IT driven piece of work.
Yeah.
The fault scenarios and the logic that we wanted the call centre rep to be able to work through, we actually engaged with the business from the outset and let them drive the sort of solution from a workflow point of view, and also proving that the benefit at the end of the day was realised. They were keen to not only help our customers make the call centre rep happier, but they innovated in terms of the time taken. They were happy that it would take X amount of time through the process. That was a massive reduction for them, that they weren't then on the phone call at the end of the day for a long period of time. But even though we reduced the time, the innovation came from the fact that they could actually help the customer, because the workflow, the steps, the logic actually came from their own experiences, not from a technology experience. Right. They know the business from that point of view better than we do. HP came to the party. We brought HP and the call centre reps together and somewhat got out of the way, rather than being the focal point of the project.
And not only that, they had a buy-in to the whole project.
They loved it.
So they like it much more. It's not being imposed.
Correct. They bought in from the get-go. Yes, we helped them, we supported it, but they really drove the end result through the technology for the customers rather than us driving it for them. Much better result.
Interesting. And what's the difference been, do you think? I mean, it went much more smoothly than you would normally expect, or?
More smoothly, better business benefits, and the real success story is all the other products and services they now want to deploy through the same process. We haven't requested it. They've come back to us and said, here are the other phases we now want to go through to deploy mobile services and other products and services. It's self-perpetuating. It fulfills itself, and it's being driven by the business.
That's very interesting. Massimo, again, same question to you. What was innovative as far as HP is concerned?
And first of all, let me add on to what Brendon is saying. I think you used the right word, imposing. This is traditional in our industry, whereby someone designs the product and then imposes to the user. Okay?
Indeed.
In this case, the adoption was straightforward, because again, those who designed the product were the very people that are using this. And this is a best practice, not just in our industry, but in any industry. You know, designing something out of those that are going to use it. That's fundamental. And it is not just from a carrier viewpoint, but also from us, from our viewpoint. That is, we are adopting, or we try to adopt the same approach in other carriers and in other instances, whereby, again, working together directly with those who are going to use, in this case, this solution, it is a mean to cut the time to go to delivery, to production of a major amount of time. So hence, you become more effective, you become more proficient. From a technology viewpoint, the innovation that I think we brought to the table, and I'd like to Brendon to confirm this, is that we collapsed two components, let me say, of the workflow of a carrier that is facing their end user problems. That is the element of what was called traditionally the CRM, that is the customer relationship,
yep,
with the fault management, analysis and diagnosis. Usually those two components are separated, which basically lead to many systems that will have to interact to provide a solution. Hence, the lack of efficiency from a customer care person to then resolve the problem. That will have to wait time, sometimes minutes, if not hours, to resolve the problem itself. We brought together the systems in a cohesive, in a closed loop approach, so that again we cut the time to resolution of a significant amount of time. And what we're doing, here with Optus and in Optus, we are replicating also for other offerings, not just in this specific case what we call the test and diagnostic, but if you look, for instance, at something that is so relevant today in the virtualization, the network function virtualization, okay, the management of the virtualized world, as well as the hybrid that is virtualized and physical. We are bringing a similar approach by bringing together, by pre-integrating, in the case of virtualized world, the fulfillment and assurance, so that we improve, we make more efficient the way services are handled and managed. Again, in the case of Optus, the tested diagnostic offering goes in that kind of direction. And the net result, I want to stress this because it's so important, both as an industry member as well as an end user, is that we make your guys at the customer center happier, but most importantly, your customers, your end users happier because of this.
Yeah, our Net Promoter Score increased as a result of the tool.
Did it?
The staff in the call centre using the tool love it. Why do they love it? They used to swivel chair between multitude of systems. When I say multitude of systems, 10 plus systems, manually, they'd wait. They'd have to try and keep the customer on the phone engaged somehow.
At the same time.
Yeah. The information they got wasn't coherent, tied together. Now they start in an automated fashion at the beginning, and by the time the customer's actually on the phone with them, they've got all the details of what the customer has from a service point of view. They know if there's an existing fault. They know the status of it. And if there isn't a fault, the tool actually, in their own simple language, steps them through that logic. And it takes different paths depending on what the customer responds with. They weren't able to do that. They had to make it up on the fly, follow manual scripts before. So from their point of view, their jobs become easier, their customers are happy, and they're actually happy using the tool set. They don't want to do without it.
That's really good to hear, because I think what we have here is a sort of empiric exemplar of what can be done, because you're talking here about staff being allowed to contribute, to take part ownership of a problem and the solution, and then they're empowered by it, and they like, and if it fits with what they do on a daily basis and proves itself, then of course they're going to use it. And of course, also, as you mentioned, replication, this is something you can use subtly differently, but again and again and again in different contexts. Is that the case?
Yeah, not only reuse for other contexts, but we can reuse the development that's gone into the tool set, the way it's configured, and not start from scratch when we want to deploy a new service. So reuse is a big part of the platform and a big benefit in speed to market for us.
Great. So what about from HP's point of view, Massimo? What are you going to do to sort of facilitate and continue this relationship going forward?
Well, first of all, again, it's very important what you're saying, it's a relationship. And I think the industry has to go into this kind of direction more and more. From my viewpoint, and again, I want to hear from Brendon if this is your viewpoint as well, this is more than a vendor-buyer relationship. It's truly a partnership between two companies that are trying to resolve an ecosystem problem. When I say ecosystem, I mean your end user, your customer center people, your operational people, and so on and so forth. And they did it by working together, by applying new technology or technology in a different way, and most importantly, using a best practice that is not always utilized. That is, again, as we were saying before, we have this very people that are going to use the product to design the product itself. I think this is very, very innovative. And these are the elements that I think HP can benefit out of as well. That is to replicate those best practices, both in terms of designing and delivering the product, as well as partnering with the companies like Optus to be more innovative, to be differentiated from its competitors.
We've talked about in some detail about the innovation side of things. We're going to round the interview off now by talking about the benefits that you see as a result of this. Now, you've touched on this, gentlemen, but I'd like you, in the last sort of 30 seconds each, if you possibly can, to sum up what you both regard as being the benefits that have accrued from this solution and this partnership. Brendon?
Yeah, the benefits are really clear and simple. Customers are more delighted by the fact that we're able to resolve their fault first time on the phone call when they do call up.
So they're not as cross?
They're not as cross. They're not frustrated when they call.
Yeah.
And they're what we call first call resolution, the fact that we can actually solve whatever they've called about there and then, leaves them delighted. The call centre rep, the people actually answering the calls, now have a tool set they actually love to use, makes their life simpler. They're on the phone for less time with the customer, so they can serve more customers, and it's a far easier job for them. So they're loving using it. From a technology group, running the Network Operations Centre, I've got less faults coming into my team because I've enabled the frontline to solve those faults for the customers. So I can solve more technical challenges from within my team and get away from repetitive type faults or faults that a call centre rep could actually now solve. So it's a win-win-win from that point of view right the way through the value chain. And from a value that we've got out of HP, I think the working together, the use cases, the way we went about the project has really worked well, that it'll put a good foundation for any further projects that we work with HP side by side in a partnership on.
Okay, well, that's pretty positive stuff, to say the least of it, Massimo. What about you? What benefits does HP get from this?
That we now have a very powerful, replicable solution, test diagnostic. We have a very powerful, replicable best practice on how to design this project, and that can be effectively utilized across the world with other carriers like Optus. And as Brendon has said, we now have a stronger partnership with Optus that will allow us to continue working together in both innovating at the operational level and bring this innovation to fruition, to do the same as we did here, that is to generate an immediate impact on specific business KPIs, because that's what we're talking about, to again improve whatever is your objectives in terms of cost control or customer satisfaction.
It's great to hear about a real world solution to a real world problem that actually, you know it works and you can prove that it works. I'm sure we have all, practically everybody on the face of the planet has had difficulty at one time or another talking to a call centre to get a fault resolved. Almost always in telecommunications and not in anything else. And it's great that you've got yourself a sort of partnership here that works and you can show that it works and there's a concrete result from it. So really interesting stuff. So Brendon Adler and Massimo Furtato, thank you very much indeed.
Thank you.